It was a crisp autumn evening when Sarah and her friends decided to venture into the Whispering Woods, a dense forest on the outskirts of their small town. The woods were notorious for eerie tales of mysterious disappearances and ghostly sightings. Local legends warn that once the sun set, the spirits of the forest would awaken, whispering their secrets to anyone who dared to listen. Despite the ominous warnings, Sarah, Jake, and Mia were intrigued. Armed with flashlights and a sense of adventure, they set off into the forest. As they walked deeper into the woods, the trees grew thicker, and the light from the setting sun dimmed. The air turned colder, and an uneasy silence enveloped them. "Do you think the stories are true?" Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake scoffed. "They're just stories to keep kids from wandering in. There's nothing out here," but Sarah wasn't so sure. She had always been sensitive to the supernatural, and she felt a strange energy in the air. It was as if the trees themselves were watching them. After an hour of walking, they stumbled upon an old, abandoned cabin. Its wooden structure was rotting, and the windows were shattered. Curiosity getting the better of them, they decided to explore inside. The cabin was dark and musty, filled with old furniture and cobwebs. As they moved through the rooms, Sarah noticed strange symbols carved into the walls. They seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. "Guys, I don't think we should be here," Sarah said, her voice trembling. But before they could leave, the door slammed shut with a deafening bang. The temperature dropped even further, and the whispers began. They were faint at first, almost indistinguishable from the rustling of leaves, but they grew louder and more insistent. "Leave ... now. Before it's too late ... Panic set in. Jake tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. Mia's flashlight flickered and died, leaving them in near darkness. The whispers grew louder, and the air filled with a palpable sense of dread. Suddenly, they heard footsteps upstairs, slow, deliberate footsteps that seemed to echo through the entire cabin. Sarah's heart raced as she realized they were not alone. "Who's there?" Jake shouted, trying to sound brave but failing miserably. The footsteps stopped, and for a moment, there was complete silence. Then a cold, ghostly figure appeared at the top of the stairs. It was a woman, her face pale and gaunt, her eyes empty voids of darkness. "You shouldn't have come here," she whispered, her voice sending chills down their spines. Sarah felt a cold hand on her shoulder and screamed. The spirit's touch was like ice, and she felt her energy being drained away. Desperation took over, and she managed to break free, rushing towards the door. With a surge of adrenaline, Jake and Mia followed, ramming the door until it finally gave way. They burst out of the cabin and ran as fast as they could, the whispers and footsteps following them until they were out of the woods. They didn't stop until they reached the safety of their car. As they sped away, Sarah looked back at the forest, now silent and still. She knew they had barely escaped with their lives, and the terror of the Whispering Woods would haunt them forever. That night, as Sarah tried to sleep, she heard a faint whisper by her window. "Leave ... now ... before it's too late ... The Whispering Woods had marked her, and she knew would never let her go.